Hel- Hello, everybody. I hope everybody's doing good. I'm kind of running a little bit behind on my schedule getting started for you guys today, but we're gonna go ahead and get things moving. Today, we're gonna do a little bit something kind of different. What I'm kind of doing is mixing all this stuff and getting some ideas on things that I want to do or things that are going to be good for you guys to learn from. And that's really the premise of everything is to create something that's going to help you guys to learn exactly um, all of these things that are causing confusion for people. So we're going to go into some things today that are kind of cool. I'm going to talk about a little bit about waiver and consent. I'm going to talk about um, basically uh, some esoteric symbolism. We're going to talk about a little bit of things on trusts, and then after, well, I want to say after. I want to give you guys an exact time and an exact day, but I can't. I wish I could do that. And the reason I can is because there's things that are changing. And what I did was I tried making an entire schedule. I'm making some tea here because I didn't have time. I made an entire schedule for you guys. And when I made the schedule, um, well, things changed up. Like your needs changed up. And then I have this whole entire schedule that I created that did nobody any good. And so I'm like, okay, well, that was no good. And that wasted a lot of time. So what I did was I did 5 episodes. And here's what we're going to talk about. I'll just give them to you real quick. We're going to talk about in this one, we're going to talk about the foundations of private trusts. And then we're going to talk next week, we're going to talk about guardians of wealth, which is the arcane role of trustees. We're going to talk about the alchemy of estate planning, so transforming assets with esoteric wisdom. And sacred trusts on number 4, we'll have sacred trust, the rituals and rites behind estate production or protection. And then the number 5, what I've got scheduled out now is esoteric equity, which is balancing the scales of justice in private trusts. In this, I'm going to show you guys a number of different things, but it's going to be clearing up a lot of the confusion that's going around. That's going around on the other platforms that people are teaching the wrong stuff or they think they're teaching. I don't even know what they're teaching. I really don't know. But the stuff that if you guys are not um, making records, then you're not doing anything. Okay, if you're not creating a record, then you're not doing anything that is going to be beneficial to you. You're only creating other things that are going to um, benefit other people. So you can either work to make yourself more in a better position. I want to say wealthy, but people don't really understand wealth as the word wealth is. Wealth is not abundance of money. Wealth is abundance of, well, it's just being wealthy inside, right? It's like having abundance of everything, even though you may not have the physical stuff that you need. That's really what this comes down to in trust. And we've gotten ourselves into a lot of different situations because we don't realize the contracts that we're getting into. We don't realize that these contracts that we've gotten into are adhesion contracts that we've become bound by non-response or by acting on something. Okay, um, I'll tell you something. So let's just talk about bills really quick, just really briefly. When it comes to bills, and you guys are like talking about paying bills, okay? You signed up on this document, all right, which is the application for the credit, and then they sent you the bill. But there's something called repudiation. Okay, the word called repudiation. It means that the trustees are rejecting the liability on the debt. Repudiation of the debt. It means that you're rejecting it 100%. And they're repudiating it to you. And then you get the bill and you don't repudiate it, you pay it. You see, it's kind of passing the hot potato, except the one that holds the hot potato is stuck with it. So it's never repudiated. And you guys, when you have the education, you can go back and repudiate this stuff. It's not a matter of whether you have the authority to do it, but many of you go and hear something like this on an open mic, and then suddenly you'll be like, oh yeah, we need to go and do this for everybody. And you know, you just try stuff. You don't really understand what is behind what you're doing. And if you don't comprehend what you're doing, then you're just going to be right back in the same boat that you were. You're going to still have problems that you had before because you don't know what you did, or you might start something and then never get to finish it. So this is about doing that and getting to finish it. So we're talking about equity mysteries. And again, I'll play for you guys because
the following program contains mature content and is the truth. No part herein is intended to be legal advice and is for entertainment purposes only. Audience discretion is advised.
Okay, so our tale begins in ancient times where the concept of private trusts, it first took root. Picture this. The dusty halls of Rome were the first fide comitium. A Roman will set the stage for modern trust law. And who could forget Lord Eldon, the key figure, the grand master of equity jurisprudence who shaped trust law as we know it? His judgments are like ancient runes, still deciphered by legal scholars today. And this dive, this symbolic dive, have you ever wondered about the eye of providence on the dollar bill? The symbol, and many like it, hold a special place in the realm of private trusts. And they're not just pretty designs, they're keys to understanding deeper principles of equity jurisprudence. Secret societies, from the Masons to the Rosicrucians, secret societies have long been the keepers of these symbols, and their influence can be seen in the fabric of trust law. Okay, they're all over trust law. I told you guys in one of the classes that I held, the papal bull was actually the lead. That was the lead weight was the symbol that came with that papal bull, and same with the Magna Carta. Magna Carta had its own little lead weight that came with it, and they're still floating around. You can pick those up on eBay, as a matter of fact. So the so when we're talking about interpretations of the connections, and when we fast forward to today, you see that the ancient symbols still influence all of the legal practices. Look at the dollar symbol. It's a sigil. That dollar symbol is the same number or the same thing that they use for pesos. When you guys are doing foreclosures, look at a foreclosure paperwork, okay? Look at foreclosure paperwork. They're in two different denominations of money. One is pesos and one is dollars. Look for yourself. Look for yourself. Don't rely on me to tell you this. I'm just telling you to look closer at your paperwork and then look up the symbols, what they mean, because you're going to find something much different, okay? So you see that the concept of fiduciary duty today in trusts and symbols, fiduciary duty, it's more than just a legal obligation. Okay, it's a sacred trust, a bond of honor. And what has happened is, as long as people are willing to volunteer, then people are not going to interlude or interfere with that. And there is something that I've talked about many times before called waiver and consent. When you guys don't assert a right, you waive it. If you don't assert a right that exists there, then you waive it. When you walk into a courtroom, if you don't assert a right of being something than military jurisdiction, then you waive it and you go into military jurisdiction. That's all there is to it. It's very simple. It is not super complicated. These people that are out there sending you these like pages and pages of case law of stuff, how to, how it's righteous, you shouldn't have to do this, and it's not like that is controversy, folks. Somebody's leading you right into the lion's den, and they don't even know it themselves. So when you guys get involved with that, the statutes, you don't even need that case law. Do you need someone else's, some clown in a gown? I don't mean that disrespectfully. I think your gowns look good on all the clowns. And, well, I mean, just different capes for different, well, that's it. We'll leave it at that. Anyways, so I'm just that, this stuff, nobody, you guys don't have to answer to anyone, okay? There's no one that you have to answer to unless you want. I mean, if you need help and you can't manage your own affairs, that's one thing, okay? Then just turn this podcast off and go watch like the Minions or something. I don't know. But when you guys realize, okay, it's like, okay, here's the deal. This is really what it comes down to. When you guys realize that there's something that's not right, then you can stand up and say what you want. And there's nobody that's ever going to say anything that you can't stand up and say that, or you can't do this or do that. Unless, of course, and I want you to put yourself in this position because I know somebody's always had somebody that's always smarter than the court system, right? They're going to go beat the court system. I was one of them, folks. I was one of them. And you know what they did? They locked my ass in a cage. They locked me up. They did. They locked me up in a cage, and I paid for it there. And I learned a lot of things. I learned what not to do. And so I come to you today and every other day that I put my face on this morbid picture tube, in the words of those predecessors, and some of you will understand what I'm saying. But I only do this so that I can teach you guys more what's really happening, more what's happening to you, and more about what's, what the problems are, so that you can stand up, so that you can like have this sort of attitude when someone sends you a bill. I'm talking about the background, the wolf is like that. So the wolf itself, is like the coloring and stuff. That's kind of something that I've kind of taken on. I really like that coloring. So anyway, moving on. I don't know why I took my glasses off, because I do need them now. Okay, so we're gonna have I'm gonna talk about a couple of things. We're gonna talk about the symbol of the eye of providence a little bit more. So the symbol consists of an eye, often enclosed in a triangle, surrounded by rays of light, and placed above an unfinished pyramid. Let me find I'll find a picture of that. I should have done that before, but it's okay. All right, so let's see. Eye of Providence. There it is. This is Wikipedia. Yeah, because we love Wikipedia, right? Yeah, I'm going to show you guys. I'll show you guys. Oops, I should probably move that to a different screen. All right, we'll do it to this one. Okay, so you guys can see over here the Eye of Providence. Let me change this around so you can... Well, I don't know if that helps any. That doesn't help any. Okay, so the Eye of Providence there, and I don't think I might be able to. No. It's not going to let me do any more on that. It's not even going to let me go sideways with that. Okay, that's okay. So the Eye of Providence can be found on the reverse of the Great Seal of the United States. It's on the $1 bill, as seen on the $1 bill. Does that give you guys any hints? The $1 bill. What do you tender with? The $1 bill. Lovely, amazing, right? That's pretty amazing. So what we're looking at here is, we're looking at, let's go back. I'm going to go back to, oh, well, I'll just leave this up. Okay, so the The Eye of Providence has its roots in religious and mystical traditions. The eye within the triangle represents the omniscient and omnipresent nature of God, a concept embraced by many religions and philosophical traditions. It is reminiscent of the divine oversight espoused in Psalm 33:18. Behold, the eye of the Lord is upon them that fear him, upon them that hope in his mercy. And that's King James Version. The triangle symbolizes the Holy Trinity in Christianity, further reinforcing the divine nature of the symbol. So I will say that it's been hijacked in that sense. It did mean that. It had that meaning, and it's been used now as a new symbol, just recreated. The rays of light emanating from the eye suggest enlightenment and guidance, reminiscent of the illumination provided by divine wisdom. This metaphor is particularly apt, considering the era's fondness for grandiloquent expressions and symbolic imagery. Wow, that's a word. It was as though the heavens themselves are offering a celestial thumbs up, saying, "Fear not, ye mortals, I've got my eye on you." So the Great Seal and the dollar bill. The Great Seal of the United States was designed in 1782, and its reverse side, featuring the Eye of Providence, was influenced by the ideas of the Enlightenment and Freemasonry. It is no secret that several founding fathers were Freemasons. Well, what do you know? A fraternal organization that embraced the all-seeing eye as a symbol of the great architect of the universe. One of these times I'll have to go over my Albany remand with you guys, because that's really, like, the words in that is pretty amazing. And it was written to the Scottish Rite Freemasonry. It was noticed to the Nephilim and the Scottish Rite Freemasonry, because that's the bloodline that created all of this chaos that we're now living under, that people don't really understand. It goes way deep, guys. The pyramid on which the eye is perched is unfinished, symbolizing a nation still in the process of building and striving towards perfection. The Latin motto, Annuit Coeptis, is the eye above the eye, translates He, God, has favored our undertakings. Now, I don't know that they're talking about God when they say He. They're saying He has favored our undertakings, but I don't think that's the same God that you and I think of when we think of loving things. I think it's a different God that they're talking about. And it reflects the revolutionary ideals of the founding fathers who envisioned the United States as a beacon of liberty and progress. Maybe. But again, there's two parallels going on. There's an idea that says, oh, yeah. No, you can have this, and it's the illusion that we live every day that isn't really real. And the moment that this life support that we're on under the system that has been created fictitiously, the moment that life support stops, so does all of the existence of people as they know it. Okay, I don't mean like people are going to just die off. I just mean that your lives are going to stop changing. They're going to change immediately, and it's going to be different, because different than the way you know it. Okay, but let us indulge into a little levity while considering this August symbol. Imagine, if you will, a 19th century court case where a litigant, inspired by the omnipresence of Eye of Providence, attempts to use it as an alibi. Judge, sir, you stand accused of pilfering pies from Miss Applebaum's windowsill at precisely 3 o'clock. How do you plead? Defendant, Your Honor, I plead not guilty. The Eye of Providence saw everything. It can attest to my innocence. Judge, while divine testimony is indeed compelling, I must remind you that we require earthly witnesses in this court. Bailiff, bring in Miss Applebaum's cat, Mr. Whiskers, who reportedly witnessed the entire event. Anyways, the Eye of Providence, guys, on the dollar bill is a rich tapestry of religious symbolism, and Enlightenment ideals and Masonic influences are behind it. It signifies divine oversight and the quest for that enlightenment and the perpetual journey towards more perfect union. So next time you hand over a dollar bill, take a moment to appreciate the Masonic symbols that are on it. And that it's also legal tender, but it is a piece of history replete with symbolism. That's really what this is all about. And a wink from the all-seeing eye. And if only the eye could see where all those missing socks go, right? Or missing pairs of underwear or whatever. I knew it. Coeptus is, may the eye of providence favor your daily undertakings. So that is kind of the discussion on that. Now, I wanted to talk about something else here. Very important, very important. And I've talked about this before, but this is a question that continues to go around the internet, and I'm gonna put it out there right now because you guys need to know what it means. Okay, what is an authentication on a birth certificate or another legal document? What is it? What is an authentication on a birth certificate or other legal instrument? Okay, the authentication is basically, well, imagine a world where every document you could be questioned for being real. It sounds chaotic, but it's why authentication plays a role in maintaining order and trust. And from birth certificates to legal documents, anything else that you have to have that is used in the process of acquiring something that you're trying to change is necessary. Okay. So seals, stamps on it are what authenticates the process. It's essential in both domestic and international contexts. Now, one of the things that I teach people quite often, and that just is reality, is the fact that, well, we are in a situation where the authority that exists got turned around, and now we don't have any. And we're not even being recognized as an authority because of the fact that we gave that away in a contract, okay? But you can't really give away, it's like a beneficiary saying, here, I'm going to give away my benefits of being a beneficiary. You can't really do that. You can do that on isolated parts, but you can't say, here, you just be the beneficiary of the whole trust. I'm just going to go over here. Don't mind me. That you can't do that. That defeats the whole purpose of being a benefit for some purpose. The legal documents need to go beyond reproach, and authentication ensures credibility. An authenticated document doesn't mean it's yours. It doesn't mean that it's got money in it. It doesn't mean any of that. It doesn't mean any of those things. Those are all false things that people are trying to tell people. Here's the problem. Okay, let me get to the crux of the problem, and I'm going to take off the glasses for this. The problem is that people are thinking that money is like attached to gold that's scarce. Okay, gold may be scarce, but it's only scarce because, people make it scarce. If you wanted to go get more gold, you could go down to a creek and start panning for gold, or you could go mine for it, or you could go buy it, or you could do a lot of things. You could go work for gold only. It's just a choice of things that you make along the way. But the crux of the problem is that when there was gold and silver behind money, when it was a thing with gold or silver, they removed the gold or silver as substance moving forward, but it never was removed entirely from the system. You can't take away, even though they want to say that they are the creators of all this new stuff, they can't ever say that God wasn't the creator. It's the whole crux of the problem. The origin of everything is always the origin of everything. And someone can take something and try to make it different, but it doesn't make it better. It just makes it different. And most of the time, if you're competing with nature, you're screwed. I'm just going to tell you. There is nothing that you're going to beat that our Creator doesn't have already perfected. And when the perfection goes out of perfection, it just figures out another way to perfect it again. It just reperfects it. Like, that's how perfect we are, folks. When you guys start thinking you're insignificant and start thinking that somebody else has to do all this stuff for you because you're not capable, that's where we lose the power and the control, and then we get taken advantage of because we don't know. We don't even know what's happening. And every one of you, I don't care what your age is. I don't care whether you're, just becoming of age or whether you're, you can't even fit it on 2-digit numbers anymore. You need to learn what's happening to all of us, what's happened to all of us, because it is a choice. It is not something that we have to be in. All of these people that are standing on the corner with a sign that says they need help don't need help. They need to know what their options are. That's all they need. Because if they knew what their options were, they wouldn't be standing on a corner doing what they're doing. They would be manifesting things because they would believe in themselves that they can do that. How do you make something out of nothing? You think it. That's the easiest answer and question I can give you. How do you make something out of nothing? You think it and you believe it with all your heart that it's real. And when you don't doubt it, when you don't have that other thought that says, well, I could have that except, or stop placing obstacles in front of yourself that other people have created. That's what we got to stop doing. So getting back to authentication, you guys were authentic in the beginning. Okay. You were authentic when you came out of your mother's womb, and you were authentic, and immediately they made you, well, they didn't make you. Okay. The lack of knowledge on your family made it so that you didn't know how you were classified. And therefore, if it doesn't go classified, I talked earlier about what's called waiver and consent. If you don't choose one thing, you waive something and consent to something else. Okay? Let me give you an example. If you don't opt out of being a U.S. citizen, then you waive that right of being a non-U.S. citizen, and you default and you agree to be a U.S. citizen. That's what it comes down to, and that's what these contracts are coming down to. They're holding people accountable for things that they have agreed to and not known. And again, like, there's a lot of things you can argue. Well, show me the contract. Well, that's a great point, folks. And whoever thought of that, good job, because I thought of it too. And let me tell you what happens when you get into law. The law doesn't look at that. The law is not going to look at whether you have a contract or not, which is why you can't argue with these people in their court. There's no contract. Show me the contract. You're not going to get anywhere with that in their court, because the law says, did you pay it and did you agree to pay it? It's yes on both of them. So there's no controversy there. There is nobody that is on your side. You agreed in a contract that they have your signature on, and then now they've created an accounting and you're saying, I'm not paying. That's all. That's the bottom line. There is no controversy, nothing beyond that. You could say, well, it doesn't apply to me, all you want, but you're standing right there. They have an understanding, and clearly you have an understanding that you're in those shoes for that reason, because you stood in the shoes of that name and you became the surety for a stranger, like Scripture says. Okay, so the authentication, what happened was you were authentic with Creator, and then because no one knew any better, you became authentic with a company instead. And you've remained loyal to the foil with the company. That's all I can tell you, is you've remained loyal to that company, and that company has created, well, they're nothing but creators of debt indentures. So you guys are creators of amazing trust indentures. Like, hi, you say, hi, Bonnie, I would like to give you some money to take care of your kids and to help your kids out, maybe. I don't know, you do things and you give things to people for purposes. And that's what trust is about. But when you don't trust, then people have to take it from you. And that's what they're doing. These companies are creating debt because you guys don't know how to give it to them voluntarily. And you've heard that people that have money give money voluntarily. But when you give them the money, they don't give you stuff, they don't give stuff for you voluntarily. They create what they need and they take what they need, and it never gets it never gets used the way it should. It's like when you guys have a car, imagine having like a car. You have a car that you take really good care of. And everyone, I want you to imagine somebody that you know of that has had a car that, really like takes really good care of the car. And maybe you don't understand why they don't take care of that car. Stephanie, my sister, this is for you. My sister, so don't get me wrong, I love my sister to death. My sister has a really cool car. She has a BMW like 325 or something. She always wanted it, and she got a really good job, and she's worked her butt off for like 20 or I don't know, maybe more years with UPS. And so she wanted a BMW, but it's kind of an older one now. And I'm like, why don't you go get a new one? She's like getting new parts for the old car. But I understand because I have an older truck. So I'm not complaining about that. I still kept the original truck that I've always had, and I actually bought a used truck and made it the way I wanted to make it. And so, it's just a matter of the authenticity that is created by your nativity, by your entrance into this world, was turned into something different, and it remained that way ever since. Okay? So it became not authentic with the way it was originally intended with your creator. And the fact that, I don't want to I want to tell people everything that I can, but I also want to not alarm people. I don't want people to be alarmed. I just want you to do a little research. I want you guys to go look up application, the word application, and I'll get you, I can look it up for you right now on something on one level here. If I can get to the right screen here, give me just a second. Okay, so all right, I'm just looking at the criteria. So we're going to talk about the authentication process too. I'm going to tell you guys about that. A little bit about it. We're going to discuss it a little bit. I'm not going to get into it in detail because I don't want people trying any crazy stuff. But when you guys are we're creating records, okay? These estates, all right? I want you to imagine this. I know I'm kind of a little bit over here, but okay, so thank you guys. I didn't know you guys couldn't hear. So, and you know what else I can do? I can actually adjust the sound here so this is a little bit louder. I think that will probably help you guys. So, but it's going to pick up a little bit more background noise. You just have to be prepared for that. I don't mind, doing it like this. And I just saw that message there. Cool. Yeah, no, I'm doing great, you guys. And I'm not real good at answering the messages on the side here. I'll get better at that. I just this is I have to juggle things. And see, I'm on StreamYard, but you guys are on YouTube. So it's streaming to StreamYard, and I'm looking on YouTube, but I'm looking at the YouTube feed over here. So it's pretty crazy, but it's cool. Let's see here. I know what I was going to show you guys something, and I just lost my train of thought here. If one of you guys can refresh my memory in the chat and let me know, can you guys hear me now? Is it better? Okay, so I'll keep going on this. I'm just going to keep talking on the subject because I want to get into the authentication. So, we're talking about a birth certificate, okay? There's a lot of confusion. What do we have? What do we need to have? Exactly. Okay. What you need to have, if it's available, is you need to have a certificate of live birth, COLB. Okay. The birth certificate is the one that's created after the certificate of live birth. The certificate of live birth is like, look up the word bill of lading. Bill of lading. Okay. Look up the word bill of lading. And under bill of lading, you guys will find that there's an entire manifest of cargo that's on that. It has, well, where it came from, right? So does a birth certificate. Came from mom and dad, right? It has the weight of the cargo. Your birth certificate is the weight of the birth of the baby. And another thing too, on a bill of lading, if you look on the delivery, a ship that is on the ocean is berthed, BERTH. A vessel in a military forum, which is the hospital, where a doctor is present, and they birth, BIRTH, the baby down the birth canal, okay, and the ship gets birthed into the birth canal. They're recreating the same holy, sacred ceremony, but they're doing it in their version of taking all the dignity away from it and putting it into a paper. And we have a choice at that time when those certificates are issued, whether we want to follow that certificate or whether we want to create something with our creator and go with that. So many of us use these certificates unknowing, and we use them the wrong way. And we end up signing for them, becoming the surety for a stranger. It would be like walking out into a parking lot after you get out of a bar, enjoy a nice long night out having margaritas, and you walk out and you're like, this car looks exactly like mine, except I don't remember the gold trim on it. And I don't remember the fuzzy dice, and I don't remember the gold chain steering wheel, and I don't remember the knockoff gold hubs, and I don't remember the gold spokes. But it's a really nice car. Whoever has this is like a lot of money into it, and then your key fit. And you know well along the whole way this car has never been your car. There's no way it can be. You know it, but the key fits. So we just keep driving it. And we never ask questions. Well, because the key fits. Why are we going to ask questions if the key fits? Don't buck something that works. People tell you that, right? Don't rock the boat when something's working. Like, that is the biggest jackass thing ever. Okay? That's something like, if you Mickey Mouse stuff together, then you might say that, okay? That is not a good way to think. You guys, we all know we should know how things work. And if how the things work is how we keep them working the same way. And if you don't, then, well, you're just speculating. You're going on someone else, and you're at liberty of whatever that unknown thing is, okay? So going back, we're authenticating the birth certificate. We're getting the birth certificate authenticated, but it is a certificate of live birth that we're having. That's the document we're sending off. Now, what is the purpose of having this done? I'm not going to go into details because I don't want anyone to feel like I'm trying to give any proprietary information that shouldn't be released out there. There's things that I do show people how to do just because it's knowledge that you know. But we'll talk about it more in depth, at a later time that's not on this public channel. So the whole point of the certificate was to create an account that was intended for one purpose. because people didn't realize what the intent behind that was, it continued to go and be a different way. Just like you guys might get a bill in the mail and you don't feel you owe it, but you pay it because you can't stand those people harassing you. So your reason behind why you're doing it is not the same reason why it's getting done. So those two things could exist and run parallel to one another, but no one knows about it until you create that record. And that's what equity does. Equity comes to the common law and it says, okay, the common law only says this and this and this. But then when you start creating other documents that say other things than what the common law says, the equity will supersede anything else, because the equity is your record. That is the truth and where you come from as a man and a woman. These other groups, there's certain things that you guys got to do. You guys got to make some changes. You can't keep using that car with the gold spokes and the knockoff wheels. You can't do that. It's not your car. Okay. But you got to learn, what happened? How did that happen? Like, what's the laws behind that? Well, let's explain a little bit. I can tell you a little bit about it. I can tell you that Anderson's Law Dictionary, 1889, says that the word name is, in law, it only recognizes the first and the last. So, I come from a family in Mexican heritage, and it's like we have like 5 last names. Oops. Somebody didn't get the memo on that one, I guess. And it's okay. I mean, that's understood. I mean, I'm just commenting on the fact that happens. It's a real thing. But the fact is that none of those names belong to any of us. We have a different way of writing our name. It is clear in the scripture that teaches Mesopotamian history that we shouldn't be worshiping false idols, and a symbol is a false idol if we're using something that belongs to a company. It's like you have a choice to go to pray to your creator every Sunday, or you can go to Home Shopping Channel and go shopping. So you can watch church, or you can go to church and hang out with people. And I mean, depending on how people look at it, when you guys have this attitude that church is just, it's like, it's going to be, but you get out of stuff what you put into it. And I don't go to those commercial churches because it's membership stuff. And that's just my preference. I'm not telling anybody don't go do that. But when you go and look at your church and you see that your church is a 501c3 and you are a 501c3 is a membership to the original corporation, and the original corporation is giving this other corporation a break on their taxes. They're saying, hey, come join us and we'll give you a break on taxes on certain things. And then they begin influencing the company because, well, that's what they do. That's what a 501c3, 501c4 does. They influence politically or non-politically. They call it what you want. You could say it's non-religious. Well, you know what? They don't let church and state get across one another either, but it sure seems like there's a lot of religious things going on that are stopping a lot of things in people's rights right now, and many of those including all inclusive to the Papal Bull and other things that existed before the Magna Carta. The Papal Bull, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Papal Bull, but it's where the Pope declared ownership over everything from a spiritual perspective. He said, I am the closest one spiritually to any sort of like other entity that is spiritual, and I claim that highest position. And then it just got ridiculous, like claiming ownership of every single existing thing out there. And I mean, it gets pretty serious. It's hard to say how enforceable is that when you give notice against a whole group of people. They kind of have to go along with it, but if you separate them, it's a lot easier. I'll tell you that. Okay. So your authentication, let's go back. The authentication is for the certificate of live birth. You're getting it authenticated. I'm not going to tell you like how to make it a foreign jurisdiction. You're going to have to inquire about that. You're going to have to ask about that because there's a way to do it so that you are getting the authentication done. But I will tell you this, I'll give you a little, like a 3/4 of the way around the circle hint. You authenticate the documents for a location that is a very small amount of states, and the number is going to be a very small minority of members that are not in the Hague Convention. I'll tell you that. Like, that's where you want to do it. And to do that, it's as simple. Like, most people are like, what do I tell them? How do I talk to them? Okay, folks, this is really simple. You're not trying to create like you're not trying to alarm anyone. This isn't about I'm doing something wrong and I need to be sneaky. No, no, no. This is the furthest away from that. Anybody that perceives that what I'm telling you is to go be sneaky or do something that you should not do needs to just hang up and go watch Barney or something like more pure, because your mind is distorted if you're thinking that. I am telling you guys that there was a scenario that, well, not even a scenario, it was the reality. You look at the reality. Your people of your family are buried in the same dirt that we walk on. Okay, it's the reality of it. And as many times as people have been buried in that dirt, they are the dirt now. Okay, you guys get that? So if they are the dirt and we are walking on the dirt, then how can a company come in and say that we're going to get between you and your soul? Do you understand that? I hope people see that. Like, how are they saying, it's like saying, hey, we know you're connected to your family, but we're going to put this piece of aluminum foil between you two so you can't communicate anymore. What kind of garbage is that? But since it's done symbolically, it's not done literally. You're not getting a piece of tinfoil under your feet. It's given symbolically. And some people are just like, oh, no, that doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean anything. Yeah, no. Why do you think that they don't fingerprint your feet when you go in to be booked for a job or booked for a crime? You don't see them fingerprinting your feet, folks. There's a reason why. It's your soul. Your soul is connected to Creator. Like, you guys go watch Avatar, okay? They're throwing everything in movies in your face, and we just need to pay attention. Go watch A Bug's Life, okay? You want to see where you fit, your flick right now, okay? Go be Flick tonight and go watch the flick. And then come back and, then you can start seeing in perspective of where we really fit. Many of these, and I've talked about this a lot in the classes, but many of these secret societies have created these hidden meanings behind stuff. And no one's going to tell you what it all means. They're not going to tell you, okay, in order to go take control of something that was created for you, you have to go and have documents that are shown to be the official original documents. Okay, simple. That's what the authentication is. And so when we have those, you guys can pretend. You don't have to pretend like, see, this is where people get caught up. They think, I'm going to tell them I'm foreign to this jurisdiction and they're not going to let me. They're going to tell people on me. They're going to call the FBI. The CIA is going to be stalking me from across the street. See, that's all hype and garbage. It's garbage, 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 folks. You guys have a right to do this. If you give people your notice of your intent and you find out who you are, then you just explain it. Hey, this is where I come from. This is what I'm doing. This is why. Because I have a right. No one can tell you you don't. No one can tell you you don't come from your mother's womb. No one can tell you that you don't come from like a DNA set that they don't have any control over until you give it to them. You have to give it up. And when I tell you I've given it up before because I didn't know any better, I've like just followed a whole bunch of other people that didn't know who they were too. And that is the mentality of why they make up the word sheeple. People that are thinking they're in control of their lives are some of the biggest sheep out there following. And it's not meant to be derogative. Maybe it is. I don't know. But, you're not going to blow wool up my rear end. I'm telling you that right now. Like, these things I already know, and I spent time in a cage to prove it. Like, I can tell you about them because of that. The time that, you figure out what these people have done I figured it out because I was arguing with them. And I got really good at arguing with them to the extent that they just didn't want to argue with me anymore. They were just done. They would just dismiss everything. It was just, they wouldn't even look at my stuff. And I mean, I took that as a compliment after I found out more, because it's like, okay, well, that just saying they're not going to even, they can't even think of anything to say no about. So they just rule it in military. We have two choices, folks. We either go in private, where we start unwinding some of this stuff, or we go in public, where we end up in a charitable trust. You guys can look up charitable trusts. Those are intended to be used to repair bridges and highways and things like that. They're intended for orphans and widows that need help. Those are what the trusts were intended for, but they've been used for other things. And now under Title 26 of the Internal Revenue Code, they are they're beginning to, well, not beginning, they have been forever. They're using those as estate gifts, and they're using them as, like, you donated the money. You're donating something to them as just being a very generous person that you are. And many of these things, that's not the case. So we have to correct, like, the record of what it really is. Otherwise, well, it remains what it is. It remains something that is out of kilter. Okay, so we're going to talk about authentication versus notarization. Authentication and notarization, although they're related, are distinctly different. And authentication verifies the legitimacy of a document. Is it legit? Okay. Notary involves a notary public witnessing the signing of the document and verifying the signer's identity. Okay, that's what the difference is. The primary difference lies in their scope and purpose. Authentication is broader and can involve multiple steps, where notarization is a specific act by a notary, one single act by a notary. Okay. Authenticated documents are readily accepted in legal proceedings and official transactions, and the acceptance is very important for different reasons, and many of those will be personal trust reasons. Knowing that a document has been authenticated provides you peace of mind. It assures that you, as the holder, that the document is genuine and it can be trusted. Okay. Authentication can be fraught with bureaucratic hurdles, making it daunting task for a lot of people, and navigating the different requirements and procedures can be time consuming and frustrating. But I will tell you that equity aids the vigilant in this, and you will be rewarded for the more time you invest in resolving this. Okay. The delays in the authentication can be frustrating. Okay. So just different reasons. People will say, oh, our workload, or they'll come up with some fake, like sickness. Oh no, we just had this like World Health Organization at our place, and they shut us down for a week. So you're going to have to wait till next week. And yeah, so blockchain technology offers a revolution to authenticate documents, but it's not real documents, guys. And digital signatures, of course, we know that MERS is a big player in digital signatures now. So you guys stay away from those agreements for digital signatures, because that's what they're doing. They just needed a way, and they got tired of photocopying, guys. They got tired of walking over to the copy machine. They're like, there's got to be a faster way to do this and make more signatures from this one than just like taking it and signing it over every time. So they figured out a new way, and they didn't even have to go there to get the signature. They just did it remotely. So you guys got to get your make sure you get your birth certificate authenticated for your own good. And whatever country you have it authenticated for, you're not being sneaky about doing this. All you say is, I would like to go on a vacation to, here, I'll give you a, I would like to go on vacation to, and I will provide you like the documents so that you can authenticate them for my vacation. You guys get it? I would like to go on a vacation to, and I would like you guys, and I'm talking to where you're going on vacation to, I'm talking about that place. And when you get the vacation authentication, it's the same as if, well, what you're trying to do to remove yourself. So that's a little bit of a just a insinuation, a little hint for you guys. Some of you guys will get that. Some of you will understand that. I hope that makes sense to you. So we have, I have just a few minutes left that I'm going to talk about some things. But let me go here. Let me close this. I've got so many windows open. Not proud of that. And okay. So I got some questions too. We'll do some frequently asked questions. What is the purpose of document authentication? Document authentication verifies the legitimacy of a document, ensuring it is genuine and can be trusted for legal and official purposes. How long does it take to authenticate a birth certificate? The time required for authentication can vary, ranging from a few days to several weeks, depending on the certifying authority and the complexity of the document. Can a notary public authenticate a birth certificate? A notary public can witness and certify documents, but the actual authentication needs to be done by a government authority or consulate. What is the cost of authenticating a birth certificate? The cost varies widely depending on the certifying authority and the country. It is advisable to check with the relevant authority for specific fees. Is digital authentication as reliable as manual authentication? It says yes, but I say don't do it. I'm telling you right now. Do all countries require document authentication? Not all countries have the same requirements, but many do require authentication, especially for documents intended for international use. Okay, authentication of birth certificates and other legal documents ensures legitimacy and trustworthiness. So whether you're going through a traditional manual methods or modern digital techniques, it protects against, illegal acceptances, and you understand the process. It's an importance of how you can navigate the complexities of the document authentication, and you have a little bit of confidence in doing so. You guys know you have the right. You know you don't have to act like you're trying to sneak out of the United States. No one cares. You have you just don't need to hide it. You don't need to hide anything like that. You just need to act as if you were doing things the way that you were doing them before. And as long as you guys just act like you know what you're doing, no one's going to bother you. And I'm not saying pretend like you know what you're doing. I'm saying act like you know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. You've already been given all the information to do what you're doing. So there's no need. You don't need to go and create something new. That's not the point. The point is to use what you have right now with your ally, which is your creator, to go and to get back the things that you created the wrong way. And many of these, well, not many of them, all of them, all of these situations that we're involved in, we created every bit of them. We created from the beginning to where we are right now, and we're the only ones that can undo it. People want to bring problems to other people and say, hey, can you help me with this? I can show you what you need to do to make a record so that you fix it. But you're the only one that can fix it because you're the only one that signed it. I can't show you how to unsign something. That's not what I do. I don't know how to do that. I can show you how to use whiteout, but if you peel that whiteout off, there's going to be a signature under there still. And that's what they say too. They is the people that are telling you you owe money. So I can only show people what the rules are, the foundation and ground rules are, and then you guys take off from there. You decide what you want to do with all of that. You decide how far you want to take it, whether you want to be in your own trust or whether you want to rely on somebody to manage your estate for you. You've all been given an estate. You all have a place to go and things to be able to use, but you can either be in or out. You can't be both. You can't say, well, I want you to take care of part of it. Until you learn how to control all of it, you can't take part of it. So that's kind of the bottom line. That's what it really comes down to. We're learning a lot of things that are strange to us in the realm of trusts. We're learning how to maneuver in a place that's otherwise not familiar at all. And as we get further into this discovery of exactly how things happened, and we can see the origin of where these things came from, we realize that everything that was created in the way that is hurting us and harming us has another way that is in a method that was created for a remedy for that. So you just have to find out what it is, and you have to stay in that frequency. So I appreciate you guys very much. I will have another show. We'll be talking about another show tomorrow, more on trust stuff. I'll have more specific things that we can talk about, and I'll have a little bit more. Every time we do one of these, I'll be a little more prepared because I'm just learning different ways to do things, and I don't have really a lot of help that I can really go to. It's not like some of this stuff is not even charted waters, but we're managing and we're going to do good at it. So I appreciate you guys. You guys have an amazing day. I send you much love and energy. And with that, I yield.